Hi, everyone. Welcome to the August 2023 WEDA Education Commission webinar. I'm really excited to be with you all today. If you cannot hear the words that I'm saying or see us on their screen, please just simply log back out and log in. That usually is the easiest way. Please do go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat function. Also, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please do just simply direct them in the Q&A box, which can be found in the bottom of the dashboard. We will be actively looking at the questions along the way, but we probably will be saving most of them for the end of the sections. And we do want engagement, so please do ask as many questions as possible. Again, if you have any tech questions, we will try to solve them in real time, but easiest way is to direct your questions to the Q&A box. For everyone's awareness, this webinar is being recorded. So if you do not want to be recorded, please just simply log off. The recording and slides will be available for all WEDA members for downloading through their WEDA membership login. So again, if you have any questions, please let us know, and you will receive a PDH credit for this if you want. So reach out to Tom Capolino, who is also on right now. So thank you so much, Tom. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce the cast of characters, if you will, for this WEDA webinar. My name is Catherine Thomas, and I am the Education Commission Chair. I've been on the board just for a couple years. I'm the youngest member, or the newest member, if you will, on this call. I'm very excited to join the team. We also have WEDA's instructor and the editor of the journal and the newest Lifetime Achievement recipient, Don Hayes. So thank you so much, Don, for being on this call. We have the current chair of the Technical Paper Committee for WEDA and recently named Dredger of the Year, Shelley Angara. She's a principal scientist and board member at Moffett Nichols. So thank you so much, Shelley, for joining us. And then we also have the vice president of the Western Dredging Association, Carol Schoberg. She is the business development director at Weeks Marine. We appreciate you as well, Carol, for being on and for giving of your time. And finally, but not obviously the most important, is the president of the Western Dredging Association. That's Matt Binsfield. He is the president and CEO at J.F. Brennan Company. So for the format of this webinar, again, we are all going to take a section of the slides, as you will see. This is in replacement of the Western Dredging Association's 2023 panel discussion. So we wanted to have a larger audience here, ask questions and chat. And I turn it over to you, Matt. I will share my slides in just a second.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's our honor after we spent about 6 months as a board of directors working on this plan, and it's our honor here to present it to you today. So I think, Catherine, you're going to bring up the slides there. There we go. Coming up. There we go. So I'm going to give just a bit of a primer of the process that we went through. And then I'm going to turn it over to the team here to really get into the meat of our discussion here today, which is the pillars of our plan and really the goals in the years ahead. Real quickly, this plan we envision being enacted for a 3-year period, 23 through 25. So that's 23, 24, and 25. The name of the plan, or the name that we came up with, obviously, was Advancing People, Science, and Engineering on Behalf of America's Dredging Community. We really want to encapsulate a few things here with this title. First of all, as we talked about in Las Vegas on many occasions or through many of those presentations, there's just a lot going on in our industry right now, whether it's through sustainability, some of the infrastructure bills and whatnot that have passed that is funding a lot of work, certainly in our area. The needs of the environmental community, or I should say changing needs of the environmental dredging area with new contaminants of concern such as PFAS, or maybe most importantly, human adaptation to global climate change. I've kind of grown up around this industry over the last 30 years or so, and I really can't think of a time that is more exciting in terms of the big challenges we have out there. And so what we really wanted to encompass was how WEDA was not only assisting the industry in meeting those challenges, but really putting a focus or meeting those challenges by putting a focus on people. How do we attract people to this industry? How do we educate people in this industry? How do we bring people together so that we can bring minds and ideas together and innovate to meet these challenges? So that's really where the paradigm around which we met as a board and came up, or worked on this plan, and also a bit about the title that you see in front of you there. So maybe, Catherine, we can start with the next slide, and the next slide really just gives a background of our history with strategic planning here at WEDA. Our first strategic plan was done in 2017. We met as a group in Dallas, Texas back then, and we came together, and it was really the first strategic plan that we've ever done as an organization. Of course, unbeknownst to us in 2017, there were a few themes that came out of there that saw us well as we unexpectedly came into COVID just a few years later. But I think the primary point of which was WEDA as being a hub of knowledge or a hub of information. And that was really how the plan was built around that thought and that node, if you will. And a lot of really great things came out of that, not least of which was the Education Commission and some of our educational outreach endeavors. But as I said, as we moved into COVID, a lot of those things that we worked on in 2017 became the way through which we interacted with members when we couldn't get together in person. At any rate, fast forwarding to this past year, every 3 years we have a changeover of leadership in the organization, and Alan Alcorn had completed his term as president of the organization, and I stepped into his shoes. And although we didn't have a chance to meet, 3 years prior during the leadership transition because of COVID, we thought that it was the right time to update the strategic plan after this 3-year period. And so we got together as a board in Atlanta. We spent basically 2 full days in a room together, going over, what were the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, threats. We came up with our first mission statement. We came up with our first vision statement. And then we created pillars through which the plan was built around. And then, of course, over the intervening 6 months from January until June of this year, we refined the plan. We had comments on the plan. There was a lot of Zoom meetings to edit the plan. So a lot of work went into finalizing this plan. And we finally got together in Las Vegas as a board and put the finishing touches on, which has brought us here today for this webinar. So moving into our mission statement, which is our first of its kind. I won't read it to everyone here. You can read it for yourself. But again, what were we getting at with this mission statement is, first of all, we wanted to be bold. We wanted to be bold around the idea of how are we assisting industry in answering some of the biggest challenges out there. And as I said in my opening statements, it's really about bringing people, whether you're in government, whether you're a contractor, consultant, oversight of some sort, bringing people, bringing ideas together, providing education to the industry in order to build the industry and to cultivate innovation throughout the industry. And that's really what we're trying to get at with our mission statement here, which then, of course, led us into the vision statement. And the vision statement really was built around the idea of how can we build on the mission statement and build a culture that inspires not only all of us here today that's in this industry, right, but really what we do here at WEDA and the cool things that we're working on in terms of innovation, sustainability, sharing of best ideas, that we can really inspire the next generation of the people that are going to sit in our seats after us. How do we inspire those folks to consider a career in engineering or in construction or dredging and marine construction, if you will, to bring them into the industry. And that's really at the heart of where our vision went. So with that, we went into a SWOT process that many of you are familiar with strategic planning. SWOT, of course, is our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And from that SWOT process, we were then able to discern our pillars, which we'll talk about here shortly. And the pillars are the foundational pieces on which the plan is built, and our goals are really infused into the plan. So in 2017, we met and we came up with a list of certain items with our SWOT. Many of which, so this is the 2017 SWOT, and if you fast forward then to 2023, you can see that many of those same items were still out there as we looked into 2023, and some additional items as well too. So of course the list grew a bit, particularly in the area of external opportunities. But I think the point here is that when we get into the pillars, which we can flip over to that here, we came up with 4 pillars when we said, okay, if we discern all of our, if we discern our SWOT down to the foundational pieces, or how do we take advantages of our strengths and opportunities while minimizing our weaknesses and mitigating or managing our threats. And so ultimately we came up with 4 pillars. I'll let our team here talk about each one of the pillars, but they were membership. So a pillar around membership and how we are value add to our membership. Education, how do we enhance the educational opportunities that we are, some of the things that we're already working on. And frankly, this is a very exciting area because there's a lot of blue sky in this area. We thought that we can really innovate and really grow the WEDA brand and the WEDA mission, if you will. Publications was another foundational piece of the organization and has been a historically foundational piece of the organization. And then finally, finance and governance. No organization can dream or have a mission that is outside its ability to fund that mission. And so having good financial principles, having good corporate governance, if you will, dictating, our financial principles, how we manage ourselves so that we are responsibly not only growing the organization, growing the mission, but we're responsibly growing the balance sheet so that we are, that we can sustain ourselves and that we can financially support ourselves as we move forward. So I'm going to turn it over to Carol Schulbrook here. And Carol, I think you're going to take us through the membership pillar.
Yes, thank you, Matt. The membership pillar is the first one you're going to talk about here. And for WEDA to thrive well into the future, we need to continue to grow our membership, stay relevant, and perhaps most importantly, bring into WEDA the next generation from within our industry, who we often refer to as the young WEDA cadre. So doing this involves outreach, hosting events with great networking opportunities and educational offerings, and thinking out of the box about how to expand membership in both traditional and non-traditional sectors related to dredging. To help in achieving these goals, the Executive Committee is relaunching the Membership Commission. I was the previous chair of the commission, and now Lori Brownell, who also serves on the Executive Committee, will take over as the chair. Next slide. So we're taking a poll for all of you who are participating. Are you a WEDA member? And did you attend our recent WEDA annual conference, national conference, or I should say the Dredging Summit and Expo? Give you a second to respond, then we'll take a look at the results. Great, looks like we've got a mix of representation here. Excellent. All right, on to the next slide here. So staying relevant requires feedback from our members, and your input is vital for developing offerings that bring value to you and your organizations. To that end, you'll be seeing some WEDA surveys arriving in your inbox between now and the end of the year, asking about which WEDA events you participate in, how your organization decides who to send, and your feedback on the events themselves. Next slide. We want our conferences to bring real value to our membership. So going forward, the WEDA Events, Education, and Technical Paper Committees will have regular joint meetings to improve our planning and coordination and take a deeper look at our offerings and our value proposition for our conferences. So we'll be looking at all aspects of the conferences, including the program, the location, and the venue. Next slide. As we focus on growing membership, we want to dive deeper into the various segments of the dredging market. For example, we're considering adding more technical papers or tracks on reservoir dredging and looking into the possible creation of a reservoir commission, which would draw on the expertise of our members working in that sector and hopefully attract new members. Next slide. Okay. So as part of our growth and expansion, we will also be increasing our outreach to Canada, Latin America, and the Caribbean, which are also regions covered by WEDA, especially as we prepare to host the World Dredging Conference in 2025. So these are regions we'd like to have more participation from. And I think, we'll be looking to the membership commission to help spearhead some outreach in that direction. Next slide. So lastly, as we consider expanding membership into non-traditional sectors for WEDA, we'll be looking at ways to attract interest from, for example, offshore wind community, as we see more and more dredging activity emerging in that market. So we'll also be reaching out to other entities and groups, and we're open to your ideas on maybe some non-traditional sectors that might have people who want to join our organization. So to conclude the membership pillar, I want to say how excited we are to take on these goals that will help keep WEDA thriving, relevant, and growing for years to come. With that, I'll turn it over to Shelley and Don.
Thank you, Carol. Hi, everybody. This is Shelley Angara. Don Hayes and I are going to be just talking about the publications and the goals. We've been working to try to have there be a database of information that continues to be a resource. And we have the talent and the expertise in this organization to provide the peer review of and contribute to the technical advancement of our field. And so in this pillar, we're really targeting, in support of the education and the information exchange within this organization, to put some focused goals around developing the content that would be shared and providing the overall guidance for the development of that content, and then finally creating the space in which that content is available to all of the members. So really accessibility of the amazing amount of information that is being developed every year by our members. Next slide, please. So we are going to have a poll really quick, and really this question is, are you aware of the resources that WEDA currently offers? And as you can see, there's a long list of topics, of types of media that are being developed by our members, and we're interested in knowing if you are familiar with this, and we'll let the results go. So Journal of Dredging, the WEDApedia that you've heard about, special publications. This might be a special group developing content. An example might be the reservoir program, technical notes, conference proceedings. Those have been ongoing webinars that you're now participating. All of these are none of these. So if you can put your suggestion together, we'll look to see how aware this group of 100 individuals is. All right, and the results. So everybody knows about the webinars. That seems to be the most popular. And there clearly is room for getting the message out that these resources are available. All right, thank you. It's interesting, anywhere from 30 to 50, 60%. So with this, I'll turn it over to the next slide for Dawn. What we're going to do through the next few slides is illustrate the goals that we have developed over the next 3 years. And so Dawn will lead this slide.
Okay, so we do have a lot of resources, and so one of our goals is to try to organize those in a way that make them easy to access, and that's what many of these are about. So we have set up 2 goals here: is to organize these publications and technical papers for access in a meaningful way so that people can use them. And one of the things we learned as we've gone along is we need some internal standard operating procedures as we do emerging content and try to make sure that the publications are the quality we expect and format that is needed and useful, and make them available. So those are the 2 specific goals on this slide.
Next slide, please. So one of the areas, you can see that we have a very diverse group of individuals working on this. We're working with the Technical Paper Committee, which is one of the largest committees in the organization, because these are the individuals that are reviewing the content for the annual meeting. But we're looking at expanding those review capabilities to other content through that SOP program that Dawn was just discussing. But we're also incorporating the Education Committee to make sure what kinds of material are getting out there, and the XCOM, which is the leadership of the WEDA organization. So through each of these, there's different timelines, but generally what we're trying to do in the first year is organize the content and determine what kind of content is going to be available for different types of memberships. Are things free for everyone? Is there some material that's free for just members? And so we're trying to develop those and set those ideas. The other thing we're planning on doing early on is really defining what kind of copyright responsibilities we have as an organization. Right now, through the annual meetings, all of the papers that are presented and all of the content that is presented, the authors agree to copyright, but we want to expand those understanding of the regulations around that to all of the media that we're presenting. Next slide. Dawn, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in here. Yeah, we want to continue to work on our publications, try to synchronize the national and regional publication processes with our regional chapters and the national events. That's the first goal here. The second is we need a way to make sure that people can get to these materials through the website. So we'll need to select a website through some type of RFP process or a website developer, work with them to see how we do that. How can we integrate social media and other communication in that? But in the end, it's about helping make sure that the technical information provided is available and used to further our profession. And then lastly is to design and implement a social media marketing strategy. And how do we make sure people are aware of these publications and that they obtain and use them? And all these work together to help WEDA become more relevant in our space.
Next slide, please. So like I said, then the third year, after the first year is organize the content. Second year is really figuring out the mechanics of making this content available and using the resources and setting up the criteria for review and developing the content. The third year really is publishing that content, making sure that it's searchable, and bringing all of those pieces together in that website kind of search engine ability. And one of the things that's also going on at the same time is, you know, for those that have been presenting at the conference for the last few years, you see that we have been moving into new web-based services to help with the abstract content, the paper content, and help streamline the review. So we're looking to also, at the same time that we're developing the website content, we're looking to see if we're using all of the available resources to make it a very efficient process for all of the volunteers that are involved with not only the review and the peer review process, but the publishing. Next slide. And finally, one final poll, just wanted to get your feedback now that you've learned a little bit more about the types of content that we're looking to develop under the publication pillar. Is there a certain area that you find attractive in your profession to contribute to? So please let us know your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, just waiting till it's about 80% participation before I move on.
Okay. All right.
Thanks. In the meantime, we do have a prompt. If you wanted to share in the chat, Shelley, you want to kind of go through this?
Yes. So, you know, you've heard now these types of publications that we're really working on focusing, making available. Are there other types of information media that the WEDA members think would be valuable, you know, linking PIONC or linking other organizations in their databases? Is there something that we would like feedback? It could be through this after the survey, you can provide feedback, or in the chat. Just giving us feedback about other resources that would be great to consider within the WEDA information system. All right, so we have active out of our audience here. We have people who are interested in and participating and adding to the content. That's great. That's what we'd like to see. So thank you very much for your feedback. And I think now we're on to education. Catherine.
Yes. Thank you so much. I really want to also thank everyone who showed up today. 100 people are in this webinar right now. So thank you so much for taking the time. I'm excited to share about the education pillar, which is really an opportunity, like Matt said, a really blue sky opportunity to share our brand, but also to open up and to assist the sector with providing valuable education. So really excited to get this started. As you'll see on the slide, one of the main directives was to provide networking and technical assistance, which is critical to ensuring WEDA's knowledge base is widely available. And so how we do that, and you may see some of the slides may be just a little bit repetitive, is to really update and formalize, and then to take action steps with coordinating with other agencies. So you'll see really updating the WEDA Texas A&M relationship, which is really important to us as an organization. And then on top of that, working with the chapters to identify different universities in their geographical area where we could co-brand and build upon the relationships that are already established within that chapter. And it also looks like getting involved in more formalization and implementation of the memorandums of understanding between WEDA and COPRI, which maybe you didn't know we had that, but we do. And then expanding that to the Society of American Military Engineers, which does have another value add to the sector as a whole in that AEC community. So as you can see here, the Education Commission has been really driven to establish and to promote and to increase the relationships that we have and to grow that as necessary, along with coordination with the chapters. And And to go along with that lines, you may have missed the webinar last January, or this January, actually 2023, where we had acoustics and how to implement them. Based on the response that we had from that webinar specifically, we see a need to introduce different parallel industries, if you will, that can enhance our own sector. So working with the Hydrographic Society to get that more training and focus is really something we're interested in. And on top of that, creating pilot programs, which you may have heard about at the conference here in July with the underserved populations. And what that looks like is actually offering in person, hands-on, skills-based training to people who are currently incarcerated, who are about to be released, in coordination with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And that really, as opposed to kind of going really deep into that, we are kind of keeping the high level here. So creating that program, implementing program, then, and on top of that, that will also increase our partnerships as well. Moving on to the next slide, is picking a couple out of these. As a reminder, the strategic plan slides and recording will be available. I know there's some questions about that, but if you have any more specific questions, please reach out. We are looking to explore opportunities and need for WEDA to deliver leadership training. So we don't know exactly what that looks like, but we're looking to create some leadership training in our sector to stay ahead of any needs that our sector sees. But also really another cool thing that we're doing is taking that OSHA 30 and health and safety and really creating something specifically to the dredge industry. So if that will offer our members assistance in creating more of safety, because that's really important in the dredging sector, and looking to do that, in the short term, but also in commission and in collaboration with the Safety Commission. Taking some of our awesome classes and then digitalizing them, right? Staying up with the virtual realm, if you will. And specifically that's looking like videoing and recording and making available some of the Dredging 101 and 201 classes. That's to our member base only, but at the same time allowing people to have access to that so that they can share with their colleagues and help the sector grow. And then also exploring more dredge simulator trainings with different organizations throughout the sector. Really staying ahead of our needs in the market and the labor shortage. We want to create and get involved with student university chapters. We do know other organizations that are currently doing that. And so not recreating the wheel, but creating collaborative relationships that are beneficial for everybody who's involved. We feel like that's very important, and it's going to be a driver to the success of WEDA in the coming years. So again, like Matt said, really innovating and growing the brand, but also through collaboration and increase in working with the younger generations. As you can see, the Education Commission has a lot of directives. And so we as an Education Commission had already sort of divided these into courses and webinar directives, mentorship, fellowship, scholarship directives, communications and publications directives, DEI. And then we also have a group of individuals on the Education Commission who will ensure that these things are actually getting done, because we want to be accountable to the goals of WEDA. Through that, we want to work as a team and also have a strategy to define the requirements for a dredging fundamental certificate and evaluate content of the Dredging 101 and 102 course. So looking to that and looking long-term, but also those short-term steps and how we can accomplish those. We want to also develop, evaluate, and issue fundamentals of dredging engineer certificates. So what does that look like, right? What can we do? What has already been created and what can be built upon? But how can the Education Commission create a process and procedure that's scalable, sustainable, and helps the sector overall? So looking for those ideas and looking for what state accreditations we may need, et cetera. That's really a lot of coordination that's going to come up through the Education Commission. Without further ado, so as you can see, Matt, before I turn it back over to you, but as you can see, we do have a lot going on with the Education Commission that's going to require a lot of hands on deck. So if you got excited about something or you read something that I didn't go into deeper detail to and you want to have a conversation, please let me know. Our next Education Commission meeting is going to be September 21st from 12 to 1 Pacific time, where we're going to go more deep into this and actually assign people to these tasks. So if you're looking to volunteer, we could use your hands. And with that, Matt, I turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Catherine. So we've gone through the first three pillars here, and I think a way to think about those pillars is that, historically, when it comes WEDA historically has been a body of engineers, professionals within dredging and marine construction that came together and generated content, so to speak, and publications and what have you. Our thrust in that regard is to really double down on the on the quality of those publications, on the technical acumen of those publications or presentations, really all content that comes to the organization either through the annual summit, webinars, tech notes, or any of the different avenues that Shelley talked about there. Secondly, when you think about the education pillar, that was really something that was somewhat newer to us, although I think, we've always had an education DNA, if you will, here at WEDA. Education has been in our DNA. But the thrust in 2017 was really to take this hub of knowledge that we have gained through being a publication and scientific focused organization, and really help to push that out into educational opportunities for industry, for young people and what have you. And hopefully you saw here that our thrust in the education pillar is to do nothing but double down in that area. And I think, again, that's also particularly exciting because every one of our companies out there, probably the number one strategic issue you're dealing with is how do you attract people, right? And really, I think this puts WEDA in a position to help assist our WEDA companies in attracting people to this industry or creating pipelines of people to this industry. But if we do those two pillars really well, right? If we achieve our objectives, or if we achieve most of our objectives in publications and education, I think we're going to succeed in achieving the objectives we have in our first pillar, which is membership. And really, if you were to sum it up, how do we create value add experiences and opportunities for our membership, right? And so if we do publications and we do education well, we will succeed in our membership. And I think even more so, I think, hopefully we get to the point where all of us as members, can go to our companies and say, hey, I'm a part of this as a part of this organization, but we need to involve more people from our organization in WEDA because it is so valuable. The content and the interactions are so valuable that it can help us grow our businesses, grow our practices, or what have you. So again, those are how those three pillars are interrelated. And then we get to the fourth pillar, which is finance and governance. And in my opening comments, I said that no organization can grow its mission beyond its ability to fund that mission or to govern that mission. And so that's really, as we went through those first three pillars, that's, we recognize that, hey, we need to also, have a balance here to say, yes, there's the mission, there's the vision, there's where we want to go, and it's exciting, and it's, there's a lot of things there, but we also have to make sure it's sustainable as well, too. And that's what finance and governance gets to. So, yeah, thanks, Catherine. Go ahead and get into some of the goals here. The first thing you'll hear about this idea of liquidity, right? Liquidity, liquid assets and whatnot. And what were we driving at towards that? On an annual basis, WEDA may, at this point, take in, over $1 million a year in funding and as part of our income statement. And at any rate, those are all liquid assets as they come into the organization. But what we find on a year-over-year basis is that many of our, especially as COVID came on and we were tied up in several venues for our annual summit, we have to do large prepays for our annual summit meetings. Some of these could be 250, 400,000 and whatnot. So it's a great deal of liquid assets going into prepaid contracts or things like that, so that we can lock in our spaces at these different locations. So we're ultimately really what this gets to is to say, listen, those things are always going to be out there in terms of prepaids and other things that tie up our liquid assets. But we want to grow the balance sheet so that we have liquid assets that, not all sitting in cash, some sit into, investment vehicles to grow them at a higher rate. But we want to make sure that we have a liquidity of in excess of $1 million. And why is that important, right? Why is that important? If you look over the last 10 years, we have had some amazing growth, not just in the financial area, not just in the mission area, across the entire organization. We've had some amazing growth, and you've seen some pretty, I think, audacious goals here in terms of what we want to do with our outreach, what we want to do with our technology, our, some of the intellectual properties that come in and that we house within WEDA. There's a lot there. And we, as we think about the next steps of the organization, we want to think about, what does our day-to-day staffing look like? This is an organization of volunteers other than Tom Capolino and the work he does for the organization. And so a lot of work falls on volunteers, a lot of work falls on Tom, of course, and his efforts. And as we look forward, we want to make sure, what is the right staffing level? Does it make sense to add and break roles up so that we can, further achieve our long-ranging objectives without forgetting our day-to-day, blocking and tackling type things, all while creating, a system where we have checks, balances, backup, what have you, really getting to the heart of good corporate governance. So those two things go hand in hand, in terms of, what our staffing looks like moving, forward and the size of that, but also our ability, certainly, to fund that as we tackle both the near and, present and future endeavors through our strategic plan. So going on to the final slide here of goals. But this really gets into the sustainability of the organization and again, to the corporate governance side of things. I do think we have had an incredible journey over the last 5 years, certainly, and 10 years, frankly, where we have so many people coming onto commissions, working at the chapter level, that have then created a pipeline of new board members. And really this last slide deals with how can we fully engage people that want to engage with WEDA. This is our organization. This is not the board's organization. This is not the contracting or the consulting community or the government community. This is all of our organization. And really the thrust of this last slide is to say, how can we engage the most people possible in a meaningful way that not only creates pipelines of people coming into leadership of the organization or other areas, committees, things of that nature, but also, how do we build an infrastructure around that? An infrastructure that allows people to come in, spend their time within the organization. Then as they phase out and new people come in, that we have a transition, that it's an orderly transition, and that, institutional knowledge, if you will, is housed and hubbed in the right area so that the next generation of WEDA members can take advantage of that. And so that's really the thrust of this last slide here. And overall, again, this finance and governance slide as pillar number 4 was really added after we got out of Atlanta, and we said to ourselves, hey, wait a second, everything has to be in balance here. We've got some great goals, but we also aren't forgetting the fact that we also have to do things explicitly and in a very determined way when it comes to our finances and our corporate governance and the pipelines we create into creating sustainability around the organization. So that the final slide really just maybe something to think on as we move forward here is again, it's an incredibly opportunistic, wonderful time in our industry. Now is the time that we as practitioners, as professionals in this industry, by coming together, by doubling down on some of the things that we do in terms of our collaboration with one another, our investigation of certain issues, stances the organization may take on certain scientific or best practices within our industry. Now is the time that we as a collective group can advance this industry and really grow the dredge community of not only the United States, Canada, North America, but of the Western Hemisphere by inspiring the next generation of people to want it to become a part of WEDA, whether that's as an engineer, whether that is, working on the deck as an operator or deckhand, or any position, in between any of those. So it's an incredible time in our industry. And I think what we are trying to do as an organization is to really take a leading foot in that and really be a asset to our industry, the companies of our industry, as we all tackle these challenges. So with that, I will turn it over to Catherine for final comments. And I think we will, as she has here, we'll have a follow-up link for Q&A as well. Is that correct, Catherine?
Yes, sir. So we had quite a few questions asked, about 6. So thank you so much to everybody who's been helping me facilitate the answers there. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A at this time so that we can address them now currently. Also in the follow-up, we will have a form or a little survey so that if you are interested in volunteering your time, or you wanted to get more involved, such as Joe Wagner stating he wants to get involved in that reservoir dredging subgroup, love it. We will make sure to collect that information. Again, most of these groups will have meetings on the side. So if you're interested in getting involved in these commissions or committees, please do reach out. I know Shelley is the contact, obviously, for TPC. I'm the contact for Education Commission. Lori is the contact for Membership Commission, but so let us know if you have any interests. I have no questions at this time. So unless you all have any final thoughts to say.
I'll just share one last thing, Catherine. Again, in the vein that this is all of our organization here, the board of directors serves at the behest, or at, really for the membership. And so if anybody has questions outside of this forum that you have at any time, we have board members going to chapter meetings. We have board members who are active in chapters. Please contact any one of us. Hopefully the message you hear today is that we want people involved. We want to hear from you. If there is an issue out there that you feel is not being addressed, we are blessed to be a small enough organization where we can, you can reach out to any one of us. Your feedback and the feeling that we want everybody to feel that they, what they have to say matters in terms of where we're going as an organization. And so please reach out to any board member or any one of us with questions or comments.
Matt, we do have a question. Are there any board members going to other organizations like PNEC or IAPH?
Say that again.
Are there any board members going to other organizations?
Yeah, in terms of going to their conferences and things of that nature?
Marcia, it's a question from Marcia Cohen. So Marcia, I'm going to assume it's in reference to those conferences if you wanted to type of clarification, but yes, probably their meetings or conferences, I'm going to assume at this time.
We do. And actually, in a lot of cases, and this was, well, Catherine, I'll use you an example if I can. You're very active in SAME. I know another board member, I'll use another example. Andrew Timmis is involved with SAME. Lori Burnell is involved with COPRI and was very, foundational in bringing that MOU together. You heard Catherine talk about that earlier. So yes, the answer is absolutely yes. We have people going to many other industry related gatherings. That also extends to Dredging Contractors of America, the AGC. So yeah, board members are very active across the different forums that represent or our industry gathers in.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, good. Thank you. Right on time. Tom, just directing you and Don. Tom Lee said I'll draft up some ideas and we'll forward them to you and the other board members. So thank you so much for that comment as well. Okay, we have a question. Can you post email contact for the committee chairs? They were not linked in the meeting invite for today. What I will do is in the follow-up email, we will share the email addresses for everyone who registered for the committee chairs, and they will also be maybe an addition. I will add those to the surveys so that you can see them also when you click on there as well. So I will add that. Thank you so much for that comment, Karen. Okay, final seconds. Any closing words, Carol, Shelley, Don, or Tom Capolino?
I'm good, Catherine. Thank you.
Okay. Matt, anything else before we say so long?
No, ma'am. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and the rest of your week.
Yes, and before you all say goodbye, please write in your notes. We will be having a 2-day webinar on September 27th, 28th, where we will be learning about slurries and pumps. And the next Education Commission meeting will be September 21st. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you again to our esteemed panelists. We really appreciate your time, and thank you to everybody who did show up. You will receive a follow-up email with the survey link, which will also include the committee chair emails for ease of communication. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Tom Campolino, and we look forward to seeing you back on one of our future webinars. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Kevin.
everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.